Welcome back to Old School Sports and episode 14 of our series with Pro Wrestling Sim. And at the end of the last episode, finally made some pretty significant progress. Our popularity in North America has topped 40 at this point. We've moved on to be a cult promotion in terms of our size at this point. And moving on from the humble beginnings we had as a small local promotion with less than 10 in national popularity to a regional promotion and now up to a cult promotion has been beneficial in terms of, I think, learning to play the game when it's not quite as easy, but hoping that we can really make our growth go exponential going forward, because at the end of the last episode, a couple of interesting options opened. We now have the ability for TV contracts, and we also have the ability to at least consider signing people to exclusive written agreements and written contracts rather than the pay per appearance contracts that we've typically had in the past. So I think in terms of building storylines and really building up some wrestlers to become bigger stars and bigger parts of our organization, a really good step forward. So we're going to start off talking a little bit about the TV contracts. We did in our final show in April sign a pay-per-view contract for 5 years with a tiny provider. We have since signed a couple of agreements for the 3W Live in May event and the 3W Westchester event. 3W Live in May is going to be actually on network television, tiny network size, but we signed a 5-year deal with them. And then the 3W Westchester show is going to be on a small pay-per-view distribution platform, which is admittedly an upgrade from the tiny distribution platform we had available for pay-per-view at the end of April with our Delaware show. So I did sign 5-year contracts for both of these. Want to kind of lock in some better financials to where we've been, since we obviously haven't been able to lock in any type of television financials going forward, but did get some good advice from Jack in the comments to the last episode about perhaps not making very long-term commitments, because we may be able to get better terms and conditions going forward as we continue to grow over the next couple of years. So I think ultimately I will kind of to mix metaphors a bit, use perhaps a more well-distributed strategy with our distribution partners, and ultimately sign some shorter contracts for some of the upcoming shows that will give us an opportunity to refinance a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now with some of the core shows that we have ahead of us. Also, we'll have the ability to try to put some highlight shows together. Going to consider that, but going to wait a little bit. I think the primary focus for this month is going to be to get through these 4 shows. Also, ultimately figure out some either pay-per-view or TV contracts for the Portland event and the Memorial Day Bash event, and then really get a good look at what our finances look like with a full month of TV and pay-per-view enhanced sponsorships. Because I had been talking not that long ago, if you remember, that I felt like when we think about our production values, that the $30,000 a month we just started incurring on music was going to be the last opportunity we were going to have to spend significant money in terms of improving our production values, since everything was $100,000 a month or $500,000 a month to kind of move to the next level. But it does feel like with the network deals now potentially in place for us, that we could perhaps significantly supercharge our finances and be making well over $100,000 a month in the not too distant future. And if that's the case, then I think we're going to have an opportunity to potentially increase our production values more and start being able to hopefully move past the 50% max show score we're at today, which will hopefully result in a increasingly big and fast-moving snowball coming down the mountain as we try to take over the world with this wild world of wrestling promotion. Did give some thought to exclusive contracts. Garrett Carter is going to be expiring shortly, and he's at $2,000 an appearance now. He's looking for $35,000 per month to be exclusively with us. So certainly a benefit in that if we do sign him to a contract like that, he's going to be with us and with us only, and we're really going to be able to invest heavily in his storylines and hopefully make him more and more popular. But when you consider right now we're only doing 3 or 4 shows a month and it's $2,000 a show for him, I want to have a better view of what our finances really look like before I start signing a bunch of written contracts with people. I think we will do it at some point in the not too distant future, but we're going to hold off a month and see exactly what the finances look like after we've had 4 hopefully successful shows and that all have TV or pay-per-view contracts involved in them, and get a better sense of just how much money we're really going to have available to potentially start signing people to exclusive contracts, and also, as I noted, to potentially do some investments to upgrade our production quality, which will also ultimately help us. So, as I noted, I think it's good that we started out at the bottom and we kind of had to scrap and claw for the first 3.5 almost years of this promotion. If I had had access to TV contracts at a high level and written contracts from the start, probably wouldn't have struggled so much trying to get this thing growing. You can see the growth was slow but steady, even, as short as a year ago, and it's become more and more accelerated in recent months, and the hope is that it's going to go close to parabolic shortly when we start getting more and more TV money coming in, which will give us an opportunity to hopefully continue growing this promotion from cult size to a national or a worldwide promotion in the coming years. Now, the one negative that we noted when we moved past 40 in terms of our popularity nationally and moved to become a cult promotion is that our morale dipped materially from 100 to 69 at this point. And I think that's largely because our wrestlers are expecting a bigger piece of the finances, so to speak. So we've got a couple ideas before we do our first show of the month of May in a couple of days to improve things. We're at a 69 right now. One thing we're going to do is move to travel expenses being subsidized, which will be a step forward based on previous precedent. I'm guessing that'll be a 5-point boost to backstage morale when we make that move. And it is a 5-point boost, so that moves us up to 74, so a little better than we were. I certainly think that there's potential for us to move up to higher quality catering, all expenses paid for travels, or all expenses paid for medical expenses in the not too distant future. But again, I want to figure out exactly what our financials look like on the other side of a full month with the TV contracts in place before we start going crazy with that. One thing that I am also going to do, and we'll see whether or not this makes sense, have a lot of real positive presences among our wrestlers, and the wrestlers also are generally having very good morale right now. But when we look at our relationships, there's a common theme at this point. Gia Valdez and Kirsten Holloway have a pretty toxic relationship. Ricky Babylon and Gia Valdez have a pretty toxic relationship. Marissa Wynn and Gia Valdez have a pretty toxic relationship. There are certainly some other negative relationships in the promotion, but Gia Valdez is in the middle of 3 of the 4 worst relationships that we have in the entire organization. So we are going to release Gia Valdez, who's been a very important member of the promotion over the years, from her contract with us. That's going to result in there being no women's tag team champions, because her and Alani Hernandez have held that title most of the time that we've been playing this sim. That's going to leave us with 4 face women wrestlers and 2 heel women wrestlers. So I think we'll be thinking in the coming weeks and months about perhaps a heel turn for one of those faces to balance things out, with 3 women on each side of the ledger as far as faces and heels. Take a look now at backstage morale, and that was the answer. I didn't think it was going to have that much of an impact, but Gia Valdez and those toxic relationships were apparently dragging things down significantly. So maybe we won't actually need to invest as heavily in the catering, the travel expenses, and the medical expenses going forward. Certainly an option if and when we need it, but feel even better about moving on from Gia Valdez, because apparently she had become somewhat toxic and was a big factor in why things weren't going well backstage, unfortunately. And as we think about our next show, positive news is that the atmosphere backstage is now great. Negatively, our travel costs are about double of what they used to be with the more in-hand. Actually, they're, I think, 5 times what they used to be. I believe we moved from $100 per person to $500 per person. So travel costs are going to become a much more significant part of our budget, but we've got a great atmosphere backstage again. For this upcoming show, there is going to be a new women's tag team championship crowned. Fire and Ice, Anastasia Romero and Marissa Wynn going against the new team, the Nasty Girls, Alani Hernandez and Kirsten Holloway, who have teamed up as the 2 heels that we've got left with the departure of Gia Valdez. May also remember that we have new tag team champions, the new kids on the block, Ryan Mooney and Juan Shepard. And the key parts of this show, other than the women's tag team championship match and a early match between Josue Melton and Ryan Mooney, part of the new kids on the block tag team, are going to be 4 consecutive tag team matches. Winner going to be determined purely by quality. We're going to be running a tournament with 4 bouts today, 2 bouts at our next show, 1 bout at the 3rd show of the month, and then whoever emerges from that is going to get an opportunity to wrestle against the new kids on the block for the title in our Memorial Day Bash. And the teams in here do include the Dream Team, Ricky Babylon, owner of our promotion, and Julius Dyer. Babylon has been our men's champion since we started the promotion and had the belt wrestled for the first time. He has at times been involved in tag team and held the championship then, and there is now certainly an opportunity for him to potentially be holding a second title belt before the end of this month if him and Dyer are able to work their way through the tag team tournament and then ultimately defeat the new kids on the block on Memorial Day. And before we run that event, did just want to check in, and the subsidized travel expenses are going to be 5 times more expensive than they used to be. And as I think we've noted, this actually applies each show, at least when we look at things, even though it says per month here, it seems like it is taken out per show. So that's going to be a pretty significant additional expense that we've added. Wonder if we move it back down to lightly subsidized, what would happen? And it's actually irrelevant to morale. So Gia Valdez was a much bigger issue. So we're not intending to be completely cheap, but if we can save material money going forward until we really have to give more, we're going to avoid doing it. So hopefully that'll help us a little bit on the financial front. Moving on to 3W Live in May, and you can see those travel costs much more reasonable at this point. Gia Valdez, as I mentioned, was important to the promotion, but had a very toxic relationship that was impacting the atmosphere backstage, and it was ultimately time to make a tough decision and ask her to go. Get the show underway, and we're running a huge video here promoting all of the different tag teams that are going to be part of this tournament over the next 3 events. You can see we did get a nice boost for many of the wrestlers who were noted in the promotional. Ryan Mooney with a victory over Josue Melton in the only singles match we're going to have today here in 3W Live for the month of May. Moving on to the first tag team match, the Southern Gentlemen. This is a surprising result to me, but Valentino Ballard and Edward Grant beat Kyle Howard and Rodrigo Schmidt. So Southern Gentlemen are a couple of the less prominent wrestlers in our promotion, although Edward Grant is a relatively promising looking newcomer. But a bit of a surprise that the Southern Gentlemen will be moving on to round 2 of the tag team tournament for a shot at the New Kids on the Block. Next match, the Demolition Squad, Elias David healthy and well again, and he teams up with Malcolm McKnight to get the victory over C Squared. Third match of the day, the Head Knockers, Jordan Cunningham and Keith Yates, defeat the former tag team champions, the Good Guys, Keith Yates and Judah Horn. So they did get a first shot at New Kids on the Block in our last show after they had lost the tag team title, but they're not going to get another shot at winning the title from the new champions anytime in the near future. Good match quality there, and ultimately a pretty solid score. The final match of the day, the Dream Team, Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer with the victory. So worked out well. 2 heel teams and 2 face teams won their tag team matches in the tournament, so it'll be easy to pair up some heels against some faces, at least for the next round. Introductions ahead of the Women's Tag Team Championship bout. And we'll see what happens between the Nasty Girls and Fire and Ice. The Nasty Girls, Alani Hernandez and Kirsten Holloway. Alani Hernandez is our women's singles champion, and is noted her and Gia Valdez had held the women's tag team championship for most of the last 3+ years. But they've never wrestled together before, so will they be able to overcome Romero and Wynn, who do have experience as a tag team? And they do. The power of Alani Hernandez continues as the Nasty Girls, Alani Hernandez and Kirsten Holloway, claim the Women's Tag Team Championship. Finish off the big show with a promo video. Nice score of 100% there now that the backstage atmosphere is better. Show rating of 50%. Could have gotten up to 63 if we weren't capped out. Go ahead and end the show. Obviously expect that we sold out again at the 2,500 person arena. This is our first television show, though, so it will be interesting to see how the financials there worked out. 2,500 tickets and 87,500 in sales. So another positive when we moved from the regional promotion to the cult promotion is that we were able to increase our ticket price. That happened automatically behind the scenes, but if you remember when we used to be selling out 2,500 tickets, just 62,500 in ticket sales. So it looks like our ticket price has moved from $25 a show to $35 a show. So that's another big step that will improve the bottom line. Edward Grant wants a match of 15 minutes. We can certainly arrange that because he's going to have a 15-minute tag team match coming up in just a few days at 3W Westchester, given the surprising victory that he and his partner Valentino Ballard had in that match, the first tag team match of the day. And we simmed forward a day. This was our network television show, although it was a very tiny network, but over 100,000 viewers. That gave us another $45,300 in income. So definitely hopeful that we'll be able to really move finances forward. Westchester is going to be a pay-per-view show for us, but it will be a bigger pay-per-view show. As I noted, it's a small pay-per-view relationship rather than the tiny relationship we had with our Delaware event. So I think it's going to get increasingly easy for us to make more money, but I have a feeling that our expense base is going to continue to expand as well. And Julius Dyer, who's becoming an increasingly important face wrestler for us, particularly with his recent partnership with Ricky Babylon, that 2 matches away from resulting in a title opportunity for them, has increased his booking fee as well. We also did sign a 30-day extension with our pay-per-appearance agreement with Garrett Carter. That'll set us up at the beginning of June after we've got a full month of financials in May, if we do want to potentially do something more formal with him for the longer term as far as a written contract. He was set to expire before the end of the May, so we basically just kicked the can a few days essentially. And we get ready for our show in Westchester. Recall, this is one that's on pay-per-view, but on a larger pay-per-view service than the one that we used for our previous attempted pay-per-view show. So hopefully that'll have some positive financial ramifications for us. Expecting a sold-out show again, get things started. Introductions ahead of a title match between Isabella Baxter and Alani Hernandez for the women's title. You may remember that we did do that Rumble with all 4 of the women face wrestlers at the end of the month of April, and Isabella Baxter emerged victorious in that, earning her a shot at Alani Hernandez. As has always happened, Alani Hernandez does successfully retain the championship. Couple of singles matches on the men's side coming up before the 2 semifinal tag team matches to finish off the card. Juan Shepard, who is part of that championship tag team squad right now with Ryan Mooney, beats Colby Hendricks in a match that got a respectable reaction. Garrett Carter and Keith Yates, not an incredibly high match quality, unfortunately. Garrett Carter does get the victory, spend $2,000 having him on the card. Southern Gentlemen against the Demolition Squad, and then the Head Knockers versus the Dream Team in our semifinal tag team matches as people try to get prepared for New Kids on the Block and their title defense at the end of the month. Southern Gentlemen had what I would call an upset victory in their first match, but the Demolition Squad, Elias David and Malcolm McKnight, get the victory, and they will be in the finals for an opportunity to try to claim the men's tag team championship. and they will be facing off against the Dream Team, Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer. Very high quality match between the Head Knockers and the Dream Team. The Head Knockers, Jordan Cunningham and Kason Hughes, have previously held the tag team belt, although they don't own it right now. Finish things off with a high quality production video highlighting some of the key storylines we've got going. Good reaction there. We will end the show. Could have scored a 64, although we're capped out at 50. But as I was talking about earlier, the hope is that those $100,000 a month investments that we thought were so unrealistic will become something that we can achieve in the not too distant future. We gave Edward Grant the longer match he was looking for, and over $170,000 in income on pay-per-view. So that's something interesting for us to think about. Also sold out the show, and as I noted, the tickets are now $10 more than they used to be, so that's an additional $25,000 in revenue. But we made $82,000 with the TV contract as opposed to $170,000 with the pay-per-view contract. And even if we go back to, I thought we had it somewhere here. Yes, the Delaware pay-per-view event. We made $82,000 there at the end of April. So it sounds cooler, I think, to have TV networks as opposed to these fly-by-night pay-per-view operations. But when we're looking at the actual financial impact on us, at least with the level of network television that we're dealing with right now, the pay-per-view contracts may be much more lucrative for us. And I think when we're looking at the additional $215,000 that we've earned through the pay-per-view and the TV contracts on the two events that we've held this month, and the fact that we're making an extra $25,000 per each show that we sell out, we are in a situation where our financials are going to quickly move us into a different stratosphere than we've been accustomed to playing in, which hopefully will allow us to continue to really accelerate what we're doing here. Storylines, tag team turmoil. This is one that we probably will look to end. This was back when Jordan Cunningham and Kason Hughes, the Head Knockers, were the tag team champions. Judah Horn and Keith Yates, the good guys, were chasing them. The tag team championships there did go back and forth a few times. But probably going to end that storyline since neither of these teams are relevant to the tag team tournament that we're doing now. New King of the Ring, have some decent momentum in that one. Marvin McNeil's been injured recently, but he'll be back in time for our next event, so we'll keep that one going. Certainly have very strong momentum with the We Want Your Belt from Ricky Babylon's storyline. And Tag Team Turmoil, perhaps not the best name for this anymore since Alani Hernandez and Gia Valdez are no longer a tag team, but solid momentum there as well. Before we finish that storyline, we're just going to check in on where those guys were in terms of popularity. Jordan Cunningham is at a 26 in popularity, although he's been falling back more recently, which is certainly not ideal. Judah Horn at a 13. Keith Yates at a 31. And why am I struggling to remember? I hate that, well, hate may be too strong a word, but I don't love that the alphabetization is by people's first names. I tend to think of these guys or women with their last names, so it always throws me off when I am looking for their last names rather than their first names. But Kason Hughes is, of course, the last wrestler that we were looking at with an 11 popularity. So Yates at 31, Kason Hughes at 11, Judah Horn at 13, and Jordan Cunningham at 26. We'll end that storyline and see if anything material has happened. Judah Horn at a 13, Jordan Cunningham at a 26. Kason Hughes did get a bump from 11 to 12. And Keith Yates did get a 1-point bump from 31 to 32. So small but not meaningless progress in terms of the popularity with the wrestlers who had been involved in that storyline. And with 2 matches out of the way, or 2 cards out of the way, much more than 2 matches, we're going to get things scheduled for Portland and the Memorial Day Bash. We're also going to explore our television options for those 2. Probably will sim ahead to the Memorial Day Bash when we'll be having that championship match for the men's tag team. But I think that it's definitely an entire new financial system that we're dealing with all of this TV contract money rolling in. So feel like we can really kind of accelerate things now that we're in a much stronger financial position than I dreamed about being with this promotion just a few months ago. And things continue to go very well for the Wild World of Wrestling promotion, ready for the big event, the Memorial Day Bash. You can see that our finances are absolutely exploding, at least in terms of the top line. We'll see exactly what the bottom line looks like in a few days at the end of this month. Since the last time we checked in, we've only done one more event. That was the 3W Portland event. Actually, that was not. We had done the 3W Portland event. I guess that was the last event that we did since the last time we checked in. Yeah, the Demolition Squad versus the Dream Team. Ricky Babylon, not surprisingly, and Julius Dyer with the victories. So they will get an opportunity at claiming the tag team championship in the upcoming match. Was not, despite the 113,811 viewership, a particularly successful event for us financially. Only made $10,000 in income on that. So perhaps shows the problem with putting one of our smaller shows on a tiny network. Seems like we may be better off continuing to use pay-per-view for just these normal shows, which we typically have 1 or 2 a month that are just that 60-minute length. The bigger shows, potentially a bit more, but think about things. 3W Live in May made $45,300 on a network. Smaller shows than that were on pay-per-view have made more money. So still kind of figuring out all the ins and outs. The Memorial Day Bash, though, is today, and we are putting this one on pay-per-view with the thought that the bigger shows are going to be more successful on pay-per-view. The atmosphere backstage remains great. 2 title matches, both tag teams. The Nasty Girls will be defending their title against the American Girls. And then, of course, the men's tag team championship, New Kids on the Block versus the Dream Team. We had tried scripting a loss through interference for Ricky Babylon and don't know why I'm spacing on the name of his partner, Julius Dyer. We had scripted the 2 of them to lose when the other team had interference, but Ricky Babylon, with his creative control, nixed any type of loss for him. So this one will be fought straight. We'll see exactly what happens. A lot of very talented wrestlers, and we are trying to have them, with their strong ability, steal the show with this match today, which should help us score-wise. Clearly expecting the Memorial Day Bash to be a sellout. Still not quite ready to expand up to 5,000 person venues, but it's hopefully not too far away in our future. Introductions ahead of the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nice score for that. Match between a couple of wrestlers who just needed a little bit of work. Colby Tyler versus Rodrigo Schmidt. Colby Tyler gets the victory in that early match. The M&M Boys, with Marvin McNeil back and healthy, get a victory over Mayhem, the former tag team champions, now able to start wrestling together again, that Marvin McNeil is healed from his injury. So with both Elias David and Marvin McNeil now healthy, all of our wrestlers are healthy and well, giving us as much flexibility as possible. Women's Tag Team Championship, Alani Hernandez and Kirsten Holloway, the Nasty Girls, defend their title. Relatively high score for some of the women's matches, as we haven't quite figured out how to consistently have successful results there. Judah Horn against Garrett Carter in the next match. Pretty good quality. Garrett Carter with the victory. And now, New Kids on the Block versus the Dream Team. Will Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer claim a tag team championship, or will the New Kids on the Block retain the title, Ryan Mooney and Juan Shepard? And Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer are the new men's champions by aiming to steal the show. The workers really put on a great show in ring. You can see 3.5-star match quality, 79% final score. And Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer are your new tag team champions. Great result for the video at the end, highlighting some of our key wrestlers and key storylines. So we will end the show 50% score, but could have gotten up to 67. Hopefully in a few days, when we get to the end of month of May, we're going to see that this sharp upward trajectory in finances continues after all of our expenses go through. Maybe it'll look even better if we're continuing to get more promotional payments and sell more merchandise. Taking a look at the mail, we promised a 15-minute match to Garrett Carter. He got that. $172,000 on pay-per-view. So pay-per-view definitely seems to be, at least at this point, the method to make more money than network television. That could change going forward. So we did make these contracts much shorter. We did a 2-year contract with 3W Portland on live TV. And this was just a one-time event for the Memorial Day Bash, being a big event of ours. Wanted to keep flexibility for next year. And seems like if we open up some additional options, maybe an opportunity to make even more money next year. Clearly had a sellout, so feeling very good about the finances as we head towards the month of June. Backstage morale remains outstanding, and the 3 storylines that we have going all remain relatively strong. And we have now made it through the month of May, and with the higher ticket prices, by the fact that we're now a cult promotion rather than a regional promotion, crazy level of income from network deals, sponsorships going through the roof, and the fact that our wages are generally remaining the same. Made almost $600,000 in the month of May, so I know that not too long ago it seemed like increasing our production budgets was something that was probably never going to happen. At this point, we're going to not just make a 1-notch move, we're going to make a 2-notch move. We're going to increase our video production and editing costs, costing us $100,000 a month with a $50,000 implementation cost. That increases our max show score 55%. And we are also, I was thinking we would increase staging and lighting or music for $100,000 to kind of move to the next level, or pyro, but I'm kind of thinking about starting a nationwide marketing campaign. Large increase to audience attendance and viewership. I've been talking about the fact that we want to hopefully start moving on to larger arenas, and obviously viewership, whether it's through TV networks or pay-per-view, will be helpful in pushing the bottom line. So we're going to also move on to a nationwide marketing campaign. Clearly, we could probably afford to also increase to mid-level camera quality, medium-level staging and lighting. But I'm going to be conservative in how I do things. We've already moved our max score from 50 to 55%, so we'll have something new to play around with and try here in the month of June, and hoping that this big marketing campaign will also be very successful for us. So going to have 4 events in the month of June. We've added a new one at the end of the month in Ohio as we continue to expand our geographic reach. And big event for the month will be 3W Live in June. Virginia. And they've moved us into small arenas. I don't know if I did. I definitely don't think I did that unless it was an error. But you can see we're expecting to have about 4,000 people there. So they put us in a 5,000 capacity, which costs a lot more, but presumably that marketing campaign is helping. We still are in a large sports hall in Connecticut, so maybe I had just clicked wrong on that, but we're going to try to move that to a small arena as well with 5,000 capacity. The show in Vermont still moving forward in terms of attendance, but these smaller 40 to 60 minute shows, seems like a 2,500 capacity facility is still the right move for that, and it's going to be a similar story in Ohio. But we could have in our larger Virginia show, and then our prime 3W Live show for the month of June could certainly be taking the financials to another level, moving on to 5,000 seat arenas for our performances, as the expansion is beginning to happen very rapidly right now for the wild world of wrestling. And as we noted earlier, we do have Garrett Carter's contract expiring in just a few days. Although his wrestling and entertainment skills really aren't special relative to the rest of our organization and certainly the broader universe of wrestlers, he is by far the second most popular wrestler with pretty solid star power. And although it may not be the completely right financial decision, we are going to try to renegotiate now with the fact that we're just making so much money to a written contract for him. Not going to give him a hiring veto, creative control, wage matching. Looks like his preference is for travel expenses. Not going to limit the number of appearances per year. Looks like he's looking for $35,000 a month, along with a $35,000 signing bonus. This is my own ignorance on the topic, but I see that pay per appearance fee is still here. Does that mean that we also are going to be paying him per appearance on top of the monthly contract that we sign with him? I tend to think that might be the case. We're going to just do this for 180 days. I'm going to see what he thinks about not getting paid at all for an appearance. And we're going to see if we do $30,000 a month and a $30,000 signing bonus, what he thinks of that. Not going to offer him any gate percentage, pay-per-view revenue, merchandise sale percentage. With that written contract, that does give us the right to sell his merchandise, since he is our second most popular wrestler. My hope is that if we bring Garrett Carter on board with a contract, we will start selling some merch. Certainly not going to be $30,000 a month, I don't expect, because we're not even doing that with Ricky Babylon right now. Don't know that he's going to agree to these terms, but I also don't want to just blindly give him exactly what he's looking for. So we'll make an offer to Garrett Carter, and according to him, it's not even worth considering. So certainly not ideal there. What if we offer him $1,000 for appearance, $32,500 pay per month, and a $32,500 signing bonus? I don't really get how that's not worth it to him. He is right now making just $2,000 a show from us, and I believe he's been in 7 shows this year, so he's made $14,000 from us over the first 5 months of the year. You would think that over $30,000 a month would be a very attractive offer to him. And he says he'll consider that offer of $1,000 a show, $32,500 per month, and also a $32,500 signing bonus. So more to come on the Garrett Carter situation. And one positive thing as we try to think about exactly how we're going to market this upcoming show, probably with the expanded advertising that we're doing, we do have the opportunity for small networks in addition to the tiny networks that we've tried before. As we talked about, the tiny networks didn't really do much for us. I think pay-per-view is still probably the logical route for us to go, but given that this is a more significant show for us, we're going to at least see what happens with a small network agreement, or at least try to see what happens. Going to be another traditional wrestling show, and this is our 3W Virginia show coming up. We'll just do a 6-month contract, which basically means it's just this show. Potential viewership of 225,000. It looks like potential viewership is a little higher on a Monday, although it says it's shown live, so I'm not really sure why that is, because this show is not going to be on let's move it to not showing it live, and if they say that Monday will be better for it, we'll try to go in prime time where we can get more viewers. We'll go ahead and accept this deal, see what happens here. 3W Virginia is not completely pre-booked yet. We're going to have a women's championship match between Alani Hernandez and Marissa Wynn, a tag team match between C Squared and Mayhem, but obviously we need to continue the booking. This will be our first attempt at a 5,000-seat arena also, so a lot going on, trying a small TV network for the first time and trying a 5,000-person arena for the first time. Hopefully it will help the bottom line. And we're ready to begin the show. Keep in mind this will be our first show, not only in a 5,000 capacity arena, but as we talked about, also on a small television network. But it's also our first show where we can score over 50. We're now capped out at 55. So a lot going on here for this 3W Virginia show. Strong introductions, the entrances of Marissa Wynn and Alani Hernandez before their title match. Not the most successful result, and again, 49% when we are 55 max out is not ideal. Lonnie Hernandez does retain the title over Marissa Wynn. Match between Edward Grant and Kaysen Hughes. Edward Grant with the victory. 52% score. Again, that used to be positive for us, but now it's not getting us to where we need to go. Tag team match between C Squared and Mayhem. Colby Tyler injured during the match. I was just talking not that long ago about how happy I was that we were all relatively healthy, and it looks like that might change. C Squared wins, Colby Tyler with the victory, but hit with an injury in the match. 50% score for us. The M&M boys, in terms of their initials, Malcolm McKnight and Marvin McNeil, and Malcolm McKnight with a victory, got a 59% final score for that, so that'll help make up some of the ground that we've lost over those first three matches. Hopefully these last two will be really good. Elias David and Keith Yates, two of the premier wrestlers in the promotion. And then Jordan Cunningham and Julius Dyer are going to be in the featured match today. Very high quality wrestling skills. We're trying to steal the show with them in the final match. They also both have really good stamina, so a longer match also. We'll see if we can do what we need to do over these last couple of matches to get our score to 55. Really strong result with Elias David and Keith Yates, 63% score there. They've got incredible chemistry as opponents. Intimidating presence of Elias David always helps as well. Jordan Cunningham and Julius Dyer also put up a 63% score. They really upped their game. Unfortunately, they have terrible chemistry as opponents, so although they're both very high-quality wrestlers, probably don't put them together as much in the future, although a 63% score is still more than adequate for what we need. 100% with high production quality and a lot of popular wrestlers with good looks in terms of the videos promoting what's going to be going on in the future. Did get to that all-time record 55% score, could have reached 61% when all was said and done, so made a little bit of progress there. Now we'll find out about the financial impact of the decisions that we have been making. Oh, that was the wrong event. Okay, Colby Tyler down with the injury, going to miss some time till January of next year. So that's definitely not ideal. He's going to be out for the rest of this year, so unfortunate for Colby Tyler. The other male, 4,251 tickets, so a obviously new record for us, as this is the first time we've been in an arena over 2,500, almost $150,000 in ticket sales. So strong results there. Hopefully we'll find out in the next few days before 3W Live in June what's going on with Garrett Carter's contract, and also find out how the viewers and the proceeds from the TV show went. And he's given it some thought, and Garrett Carter has accepted that contract offer. $1,000 per appearance, the $32,500 per month, $32,500 signing bonus. So clearly it's going to be a losing proposition for us over the near to medium term, but it should help us hopefully diversify the merchandise pie from Ricky Babylon. He's much more popular than Garrett Carter, and he's only selling $25,000 a month in merchandise. So I tend to think that this is not necessarily the greatest financial agreement for us, but still pleased with the fact that we've got Garrett Carter on board. We are going to go ahead and finalize that contract, and only a 6-month deal. I don't know why it's still showing that his contract is going to expire, but hopefully that will get fixed shortly, because it does also say here that he has now signed an exclusive contract with us. moving on to the next day. Hopefully we'll find out about TV today after the airing of it on Monday. And 142,900 in income. So certainly a small TV network, not necessarily what we've been seeing from pay-per-view, but with a medium-sized show and a small network, a lot more revenue than a small show on a tiny network. So good to see the financials continuing to move in a positive direction for us. The Garrett Carter expiration is gone. Hopefully Garrett Carter is still listed with us. I anticipate that he would be, since we do now have him to that written contract, $1,000 an appearance, $32,500 a month. Only the next 180 days, so it's still kind of a trial balloon for us with Garrett Carter. But pleased to have, other than Ricky Babylon, who does have a written contract but works for free since he owns the promotion, our second most popular wrestler locked up, at least for most of the remainder of this year. And we're ready now for the big event of the month, 3W Live in June. We're going to see how this one goes on pay-per-view, 5,000 person arena. Done a little bit of modifications with our show, put some segments that we think may potentially have lower ratings in the pre-show and the post-show. Just going to see if we can kind of manage things better to have perhaps even higher scores than we have before. So we've got the big video at the end of the show, which typically gets a big rating as part of the main show here on TV, as well as an angle involving a new addition, Ansley Howard. She'll be signing her contract to join us. I mentioned when we lost Gia Valdez, was thinking about having someone take a heel turn. Don't really have anything in my mind right now that would be a pretty interesting story on that front. So instead, we're going to just sign another wrestler to the promotion to make there a third heel among the women. Ansley Howard is definitely different level of talented compared to many of the women wrestlers in our promotion, so it's possible that could be some conflicts between her and Alani Hernandez, who has been Queen Bee, so to speak, throughout most of this series. We only signed her to a normal pay-per-appearance contract. I want to see exactly how things go. And, although she's talented, she's not incredibly popular. Didn't seem to make sense to be paying thousands of dollars a month to bring her on board when we can sign her for a very reasonable pay-per-appearance contract at this point and hopefully get to know her and her skills better. So the show gets underway, 79% score with Ricky Babylon and Samara Lester signing her to the contract to join the promotion, with Alani Hernandez looking on. First match of the day, Isabella Baxter defeats Kirsten Holloway. And now moving into the main part of the show, Valentino Ballard and Juan Shepard. Juan Shepard with a victory. They were asked to have a match that entertained the crowd with comedy, and it went over well. Honestly, a little disappointing that we could only get to a 52% score, even though the comedy went over so well. Entrances now between Ansley Howard and Anastasia Romero, the first match of Ansley Howard's career with the Wild World of Wrestling coming up, and Anastasia Romero defeats the newcomer. Moving on to the final three matches of the evening, the M&M Boys reunited as a tag team, and they get a win over the Bash Brothers. Good chemistry continues between Kyle Howard and Rodrigo Schmidt, even though they ended up losing this match. Judah Horn and Ryan Mooney facing off in the next match. Nice score of 64% there. Ryan Mooney gets the victory over Judah Horn. 3-star match quality. The two guys with written contracts now, Ricky Babylon and Garrett Carter, Expected to have a longer match here between the two most popular wrestlers in the promotion. And Ricky Babylon successfully retains his championship. Garrett Carter, a lot of momentum, 80% score for that match, even though the quality was not incredible. Close out the main part of the show with a 99% score and move on to Corey McKee and Colby Hendricks in the post-show match, 48% score between the two of them. End the show right now and got a 55% score. With better production, this have scored an 82. So I had gotten this suggestion a while back from viewers who were kind of more familiar with the game than me, and they suggested that the segments that are included as part of the main show are the ones that influence the score either most strongly or entirely. So when we know that we're going to get some good reactions either through the introductions of very popular, good-looking, and star-powered wrestlers, or through a expensive promotional video, probably makes sense to keep them as part of the show, because this potential score of 82 is far higher than anything else that we've ever put together at this point. And find out exactly what happened. Over $200,000. We had this back on pay-per-view with 22,000 viewers, 4,226 tickets, so almost an additional 150,000 in ticket sales. So over 350,000 alone from this one event. Anastasia Romero asking to be in the main event before September 9th. We will do that. Certainly could have one of our smaller shows where she could be part of a women's tag team championship match, or perhaps a match for the women's singles championship. So things continue to move along well, closing in potentially on $2 million. Smaller shows now in Vermont and Ohio for the rest of the month, and then we will check in and see where we are financially. And we'll check in on our final two events from the month of June before we finish up this first half of 2024. Things continued to go very well. Ran our event in Vermont. The Nasty Girls retained the Women's Tag Team Championship, and the Dream Team, in their first defense of the Men's Tag Team Championship, gave a rematch to New Kids on the Block, and Ricky Babylon and Julius Dyer retained the championship there. 55% total rating, and over 23,000 people purchased the pay-per-view. So that's over $200,000 in revenue right there for us. Final event of the month, our debut in Ohio. Once again, got a 55% score. A little over 22,000 people purchased the pay-per-view. Key matches of the night, Keith Yates and Malcolm McKnight faced off in a cage match. Malcolm McKnight was the winner, and Ricky Babylon defended his title, the men's championship, against Rodrigo Schmidt, a guy who we had promised a title match to and wanted to keep that promise. Not a surprise that Ricky Babylon retained the championship there. So as we sit here on July 1st, 2024, halfway through the year, you can see the finances have taken a very sharp turn for the better ever since we got to 40 in national popularity and were able to open up TV contracts. Taking a look at our finances, we made almost $800,000 in the month of June with our 4 shows. Ticket sales closing in on $500,000 and almost $800,000 from the TV and pay-per-view contracts that we set up. So even though we did increase our expenses significantly during the month, still the most profitable month we've ever had. And as we think about the second half of the year, we're certainly going to be continuing to expand our budgets. I think we're still going to go 1 month at a time. But at this point, we are going to go ahead and crank up our staging and lighting to medium quality. 50,000 implementation cost, 100,000 per month going forward. We'll confirm that, which is going to push our maximum score up to 60%. Have continued to, not surprisingly, get people increasing their booking fees. Samara Lester's goes up by a third to almost $500 a show. Lias David went up from $825 to $1,100 per show. Kristen Schwartz, who like Samara Lester is a manager, just increased her fee to $242 a show. With the money we are generating, definitely going to be more and more interested in signing people to contracts with us. Certainly feel that we can afford to do that. So between now and our next episode, probably going to spend a decent amount of time searching for maybe some new wrestlers to sign to contracts, exclusive contracts with the 3W promotion. And I think we're also going to get a bit more circumspect around our roster. If we think about our promotion and the stable of wrestlers that we do have on board, there's definitely some kind of in the mid-card area that really aren't serving a great purpose. And we clearly have the opportunity to clean some of those things up now, bring some better wrestlers, some better entertainers on board, and really continue driving the wild world wrestling of promotion forward. So if you're still with us, as always, really appreciate you watching. Appreciate any thoughts and comments and suggestions on what we can do going forward. As I said at the top of the episode, though, pretty pleased that we started out at the lower rungs and hopefully learned to scrimp and save a little bit while playing the game, because it should only make things easier now that we are having this explosive growth in the amount of money we have now that we are a cult-sized promotion and do have the ability to sign those network deals. And we will continue to sign more of them going forward. We also need to get our 4th of July Bash event on the calendar for just a few days from now. We will have 4 events in July. Some of these annual events I've had trouble scheduling completely properly so that they show up year after year, but hopefully we'll get that figured out at some point. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.